No.
We didn't have electricity. We didn't have running water in the homes. We didn't have a lot of things. And so those folks that had to look forward to the dark, wet, damp winter,
don't know if they're going to make it
with short days, if they didn't have their food together and they didn't have their stores, then there was illness, death. It was a transition going from the prosperity, the warmth, and light of summer into the darkness of winter, and the hopes that they would get through. So it was celebrating what they had. It was a welcome to the new year, which they celebrated at that time in November 1st. And sometime around I don't know, one of the
Pope Gregory III
designated that it was All Saints Day, and they made it. And that was, I think, Red, if I'm not mistaken, that was November 1st or 2nd. It was All Saints Day right after.
They did All Saints Day till November 2nd.
Right.
That's how they transitioned that with Pope Gregory.
Yeah, and so the church kind of took Samhain and at the festival, the pagan festival, and kind of merged together so that they would come over to the Christian side, the pagans. So
it basically turned into a 3-day event.
Yeah, it's
and they transitioned, if I'm calling it they called it
All Hallows Eve.
And
then
like 3 different things.
the Halloween.
And they never really considered it from how I was always taught. It was never really considered a pagan holiday. That's how, we've been taught. It was always considered a Celtic. The Celtics created
right.
The
and they would do bonfires and
right.
And
the
the first
and the feasts and just transitioning of the remembering the dead. And then the Catholics got involved.
Right.
Took it to all creation.
To nowadays. Yeah, and
they created it into what we have today, which is the
very
kids
commercial.
They wear masks and they wear costumes. Where back then, the children and the poor, they wore costumes and they were actually begging for food and they sang songs and they did that for money.
Right.
And that's what they did back then. They sang songs and begged for food. And they actually did that in return for the food and what they got. They sang songs and gave prayer.
Right.
Back in those days. So it's a big difference than what we taught the kids today.
I know. I grew up with
A lot different.
trick-or-treating and going door to door. I remember going door to door when I was really little and coming home with a whole bunch of candy, and I was always like a little, like Sleeping Beauty or something, with those masks that were just, you couldn't breathe in, and the little outfits,
Like you mean those plastic ones?
Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, it was a fun time. And then we go over to my grandmother's, and she would have candy there and stuff. And it's a lot different nowadays, though. People don't really take their kids out trick-or-treating as much. At least I...
No.
Every store comes on my street doesn't give out candy. It sucks. I have to walk like 5 miles to get a freaking pillowcase full with my
Yeah.
kids. It's so brutal.
Yeah.
Like around here, where I live, they don't trick or treat around here at all.
Really, eh?
The area I live at, it's really secluded. So the lady that I have now living next door to me, she has a little boy, so I'm going to make him a bag. But I have to ask her, is he allowed to have candy? Because I don't know.
Is he down here?
We just don't know.
What,
Down here
Bob?
in Tennessee, we don't we celebrate Halloween at the church. We have a trunk and treat.
Oh,
We have
yeah?
different things for the kids to play.
Uh-huh. I think that's what people started doing because the baby boomers just got so big and everything that people started having parties at their own house instead of people going out and trick-or-treating and at churches and schools. Oh, man.
Around here in our area, it's so dark around here, there's no street lights, and it's hard for little kids to be out after dark.
But
Oh, yeah.
Either just have it in central location in town where everybody just comes to one place and the kids go up and down. Man, they fill up their bags quick.
But the transition in history, if I'm not mistaken, read from the giving of food at the doorstep and sometimes setting a plate set at the table in anticipation of a spirit coming or what have you, has evolved through a couple thousand years into going to Fred Meyer and buying some candy and putting it in a bowl. But
Yeah.
the point is, there were people that made it through the winter with the help of that food, and
Yeah.
it was meant to be something much more
Much
than
different.
it is today.
Yeah. Which is
yeah.
interesting.
Do you know I have facts here. I literally looked up some facts that seriously, cats, spiders, and bats are Halloween symbols today because strictly due to the Wiccan population, just strictly because of the Wiccan religion.
That what?
That is a fact that I found. That is a fact that I found today.
So that would have been since how far back does that go then?
In the 60s when Wicca started.
It didn't actually. That goes back pretty. Well, the Wiccan religion got recognized by the Supreme Court several years ago.
Yeah, but that started in the
Religion's
60s
been around for a long time.
or 50s.
But the whole black cat, the black spiders, the bats, being a symbol of Halloween became a part of the symbol of Halloween based off of the so-called Wiccan religion. I actually found that today, and I was like, what?
Yeah, that's
Not
weird.
like I was offended. I wasn't offended by that, but I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of strange.
And then I also found, how we're all afraid of the poisoning of candy?
Yeah,
Kids getting poisoned.
I think that's just a legend.
A lot of us haven't actually seen a kid be poisoned a lot, That started in 1974 by a man with the last name of O'Brien because he poisoned his son's pixie stick to collect the insurance money.
Oh, wow.
Oh, for heaven's sakes!
What a creep.
Yeah, and that started the phenomenon of children's candy, candy being poisoned.
Well, yeah, and razor blades, too. That was a big thing back when I was younger,
Yeah.
I don't. They still talk about it.
Crazy stuff I found today.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
but I think that's more of an urban legend, I think, than fact. I don't think that happened,
And
really.
then there were some people putting needles in candy too.
Huh?
Apples.
Apples,
And then
yeah.
the next full moon on Halloween will be in 2020.
Really?
Wow. Just so we all know that.
The full moon on Halloween.
Huh? That'll be a good night.
I found
I just want to let everybody know that.
I found an interesting little bit of folklore that I'd like to share with you guys. The thought of the originating jack-o'-lantern.
That's Christian. No.
Well, it may be, but it's Irish.
yeah.
It's
it's
Christian.
actually
It's got the
Irish,
devil in
Irish
it.
Christian folklore.
Yeah. That.
Well,
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I
babe.
got that.
did you find that fun? I thought that was enjoyable to read.
Go for it.
It is enjoyable because I saw it too. Go ahead. Go
Little-
ahead, TJ, because I read it too.
So the gentleman named Jack, he was imbibing a little bit too much at the pub with his buddies, This is Irish Christian folklore. So
Okay,
as
there
you
you
will
go.
imagine, there was a little bit of drinking involved.
Yeah.
So Jack is on his way home, going through the dark forest, and along comes the devil. Now, Jack was smart enough to trick the devil to go up a tree. Now, how he did that, I'm not sure. But when he was up there, he made a deal with the devil. He put a cross on the trunk of the tree so the devil couldn't come down, and the devil became very frustrated. And Jack reached an agreement with him that if he was to let him down, that the devil would never come for his soul. And that was the agreement. That was good. Jack thought he'd live the rest of his life doing whatever he chose. So he had a full life of plenty to drink and lots of sinning. And when he passed, he was not allowed to go into heaven. Frustrating part is now he had nowhere to go. He wasn't going to go to hell because the devil wouldn't take him. The devil saw him, grabbed a coal right out of the flames of hell and threw it at him. It was a cold night, so Jack grabbed it and stuffed it into, was it a turnip, maybe?
No, it was a pumpkin.
Was it a pumpkin?
I think so.
And that's how you get the jack-o'-lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair enough, Fred?
That's pretty close.
Well, I had a little bit to drink.
Pretty close to what I read. I didn't read the whole fire thing.
That's always the time I would get a child about how babies are brought, and that the stork brings it to you.
But I did read that Jack from the Jack-o'-lantern folklore was a farmer, and that he did, make a deal with the devil, and that, hence all of that shenanigans brought upon our Jack-o'-lantern folklore. So, yeah,
You did good, CJ. High five.
I remember my mother telling me something as a child about a jack-o'-lantern and the meaning of it, and it being a horror story, and the man lost his head or something. And
Oh, no, that's...
just ridiculous. And that they replaced the pumpkin and all this crazy things they tell you as a child.
I think your mom maybe was talking about Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that was sort of like an easy way out of trying to explain the whole meaning of a jack-o'-lantern.
I'm sure.
Well, he did have a jack-o'-lantern for a head, so...
I'm sure it had something to do with... Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci and Sleepy Hollow, and then maybe your memory will come back to your mom's story and you'll be like,
Yeah, probably, eh?
Yeah.
That's too funny.
That's a good one. I tell you, CJ, you got another folklore for me?
Well,
Because yours are fun.
I found, well, yeah, the bit that I read about the young ladies and their efforts to find their husband
love.
to be.
Yeah.
A variety of things they would...
The mirror.
This was good. Okay.
When you look into the mirror, and then you look behind you, you should be able to see your lover's face.
Well,
That's
maybe you've
one.
been drinking in an Irish pub.
And bobbing for apples.
That scares me.
Yeah, bobbing for apples was something where they would take the peel and throw it over their shoulder into the water, and it's supposed to write out their initials of their husband or whatever. So yeah, there's some things. Yeah.
No,
I don't think that would work for me.
the other thing
That
was
doesn't work for me.
those guys that drank too much at the pub would dress up in women's clothes. Oh, wait a minute. That's current folklore.
Thank
You're
you, Bob,
funny.
from Tennessee, for calling in. We enjoyed your questions and comments, and feel free to call in next week and join us as well.
I hope to. Y'all have a fantastic week ahead of y'all.
You
And a great
too.
weekend.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for joining us, Bob.
Have a good one.
You too. So what
You
else
know,
do we
they
have?
Candles over their faces.
Candles.